Hey everybody, it's Elvin Freitas, co-founder of the EdUp Experience. Hopefully you know by now that we have started our subscription-based model where we have original content, bonus content, get invites to special events. So right now it's $2.99 a month, and as of January 1st, 2025, it's going to go up to $19.99 a month. So go to edupexperience.com, edupexperience.com, look for subscribe now to lock in that lifetime EdUp Experience founders rate. $2.99 a month, edupexperience.com. Look for subscribe.
Now listen up.
Because Insights EDU 2025 is coming, and this is the conference you don't want to miss. Meet us February 12th through 14th in New Orleans for one of our favorite higher education marketing and enrollment management events of the year. Imagine 3 days packed with actionable insights and the latest innovations in higher ed. We're talking top industry experts, real-world case studies, and hands-on workshops designed to help you grow your programs, boost engagement, and elevate your student experience. This is your chance to hear the latest higher ed trends from speakers at Google, Reddit, Meta, MIQ Digital, and schools across the country. Mark your calendars, get your team, and get ready to welcome the era of the modern learner at Insights EDU 2025. Register now at insightsedu.com and secure your spot. We'll see you there.
Attention.
Registration is now open for the Middle States Commission on Higher Education 2024 Annual Conference, Protecting the Future, Champions for Higher Education, December 11th through 13th, 2024 in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Don't miss out. Register today at msche.org/annual-conference or head to msche.org and click on the conference link. I'll see you there. Welcome back, everybody. It's your time to EdUp on the EdUp Experience podcast, where we make education your business. This is Dr. Joe Salustio, and today is a special day for the EdUp Experience podcast for a couple of reasons, but the biggest one being, and of course you're going to hear this about 3 weeks from now when the episode goes live, but it's about mid-October, towards the end of October. We have worked really, really hard to try to get to 400,000 downloads all time of this podcast, and today we achieved it. We passed 400,000 plays of the EdUp Experience podcast, thanks to you, our amazing audience. And it's really, really interesting when you look at some of the statistics and how many amazing high-level leaders we have, presidents, chancellors, VPs, listening to this podcast to find out what's going on in the industry. When we started this podcast, Elvin Freitas, my co-founder, and I, Elvin said, "Hey, Joe, I just want to inspire people to learn no matter what path they choose. Like, that's our goal here at EdUp, is to interview anyone that's impacting learning in a way. And I say in a way because we at first thought we're going to bring on a lot of the higher ed detractors. We know who they are, and they were a lot louder. And so we brought on a lot of people who are talking about the end of higher education, and then that message got really tired. And then I started changing my perceptions and meant, wait, I don't think, yes, we have to innovate. We know that. And yes, change is hard. We know that too. But we have some amazing people, particularly at the highest levels, doing great work that need to be highlighted. We have to give them the microphone. And so this podcast became about highlighting those leaders, making a difference today in learning, in teaching, in servicing students, the ultimate stakeholder in the noble work that we do. We're glad to be a part of your journey, you leaders out there doing great work. And it's an honor for me to introduce my guest today, too, because he has a little bit of a background, as you would say, doing things in higher education and technology. So we want to get him in now and add him to our amazing list of guests that we've had over these 400,000 listens. Ladies and gentlemen, here he is. His name is Joel Podolny. He is the founder and CEO of Honor Education. Joel, how are you?
It's great to be here with you, Joe, and congratulations on your 400th download. 400,000th download. Yes, sorry.
You know, I always said to people in higher education, they go, "Well, that's not that many, 400,000. There's podcasts out there that get tens of millions." And I go, "Have you ever met the higher ed audience? Getting 400,000 plays in higher ed is significant, in my opinion."
It's huge. It's huge.
So, well, what's huge is honor education and the work that you're doing. Tell us first about your background. And actually, to just tell you the truth, I don't like to go into bios because people just sort of rattle off these things. And what happens is typically my listeners just drop off. But I'm going to ask people not to drop off on your bio because you come from a very interesting place. You've done Yale Law School, and then you were where? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, so prior to being the CEO of Honor Education, I was vice president and dean of Apple University. I was hired by Steve Jobs in 2009 to be the founding dean of Apple University. Had the privilege to report to Steve and Tim during my time there, and before then was a professor and academic administrator. I was a professor at the Stanford Graduate School of Business. I was a professor at Harvard in sociology, which is what my degree is in, as well as the business school, and then dean of the Yale School of Management.
Amazing.
So why the heck would you leave Apple, Joel? What's going on there? I mean, was it time? Was there more impact you wanted to make? Tell us the story there.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I still love Apple. It was absolutely a dream job. It's why it's a great, question. But I think to answer it, it sort of has to go to like my experience, both teaching, prior, as well as my experience at Apple University teaching then during COVID, because I'm pretty confident if COVID hadn't come along, I'd still be at Apple. Like so many of us who teach, have taught, they know, being an effective teacher is about reading the room, and ensuring that learners really feel seen. And the problem with online learning today, and especially asynchronous learning, is that learners don't get those special moments of feeling seen. Apple University was all an in-person experience, so this was not really on my radar screen until COVID, when obviously I can't have everybody in the room, and I was teaching a class with somebody by the name of Greg Christie. No reason you should know Greg. He had headed up Apple's human interface team for 15 years. So Mac OS, iOS, even the iPod operating system was Greg and his team. He retired from Apple in 2014 with 300 patents to his name, except for this class that he and I would teach together. And so, we're like confronting this problem of, how can we create like that level of connection and give people in our class that feeling of being heard, of being seen. And it was just clear like that there really wasn't any technology that enabled that. And that was really where it became clear, like, we need to do something about this.
So you go off and you create Honor Education. Tell us about Honor Education so we could understand it. So somebody's listening right now that hasn't heard of Honor Education. Give it to us in a way that your elevator pitch, if you will.
Okay, so Honor Education puts human connection at the center of the digital learning experience. It's based on a simple but a powerful belief that people learn better when they learn together. Again, those of us who have had a lot of in-person learning experiences, we know this. We learn not just from the teacher, not just from the materials, but from the perspective of others as they're going through it. And so we've really tried to lean into that, sort of Apple design ethos to create a beautiful teaching and learning, experience, a full platform that mirrors the kind of social interactions you would be able to experience in a classroom, but to do so asynchronously. And there's three parts of that. One is, what we call sort of shared reactions as people are going through the materials. Most people are familiar with highlighting of text in e-readers, but studies have shown that passive highlighting, it doesn't empower students to think critically. We've really reimagined that digital reaction experience so that, it's more active, it's more thoughtful, making it possible for students as they're going through material to highlight, very quickly on their phone, what's important, what's interesting, what's debatable, they don't agree with, what's unclear, and then have those reactions immediately shared with others in a way that you really feel you're on that shared learning journey. So that shared reactions, then with those high fidelity reactions to videos, to text, it lends itself to great contextual analytics for the instructor. Going back to that idea of the ability to read the room. Now I can, because I can see if students get to, for example, an equation that a lot are now marking as unclear, or a passage that a lot don't agree with, they mark as debatable. I know that. And then that gets to the last piece of what we've done, which is we've built, in addition to this on the platform, this learning experience for the students is a course creation experience, which we think of as being, we even talk about agile course creation, so that I, as an instructor, based on the reactions that I'm getting to the students, I can go in, add an audio annotation, a text annotation, right on top of where those initial reactions are being. So that same kind of, give and take and shared experience that you can get when you're leading a seminar, we bring that to asynchronous learning.
All right. Well, that was impressive.
I love the my internet says I'm unstable. I'm also mentally unstable, which you'll find out as well. But the implication here too is to build something like this, to spend time building it, and to have higher education be interested in it. There's a foundational principle, which is that possibly our online design of our courses, the design of our online courses, I should say, is not sufficient to create the appropriate community that one would want. And that's a truth that higher ed doesn't like to hear.
You can't handle the truth.
But it is the truth nonetheless, right? And
I completely agree.
And it's a hard truth, and we're notorious. We higher ed, we take courses that are built for ground and we stick them online, and we assume that students who are completely asynchronous don't want interaction. They want to be off to the side on their own. And studies have shown that the more community you create, the better your retention, the better your persistence. That student wants engagement no matter what way they take their courses. Can you dispel some of the thoughts that we have in higher ed right now that we have great design for online? We engineered this, right? We make online courses. That's what we do. And that students don't want community that are online. I mean, tell us the truth.
Yeah. I mean, we as you would expect, I mean, we survey, our students, we survey our instructors, after their experience on the platform, and the reaction that we get, some is really poignant. I mean, so just the ability, for example, for the instructor to have like a little audio clip around a difficult passage or a complicated formula. What we hear from the students is, and is they will tell us, I feel like my instructor is in it with me. I feel like they are supporting me. And that it matters, 92% of the students, in our survey, the ones we surveyed in 24, 92% said it increased their engagement. 90% said it increased their comprehension. These are, of course, related. If I'm more engaged, of course, I'm going to comprehend more. Over 3/4 said it increased their sense of belonging. And as you point out, like, we know in order for students to, put in the effort to actually, see a course through, they really need to feel like they belong. And so, absolutely it matters. And by the way, we also know the opposite when, when a platform, when all it does is just sort of put the content out there and they can kind of take it, sort of when they want, where they want, we know that the completion rates, can oftentimes, drop into the single digits. So, and anyway. Yeah.
We don't want single digit participation. It's tough. It's tough to retain students regularly. And it's tough to get them to persist even in good times. These online students, they're typically your modern learner. They can come in, they can go out. Sometimes they're looking for a reason to stay. In higher education as a industry, we're having some confidence variability, right? The general public is saying that confidence is low. Institutions are homogenized. We're not separating ourselves from others. And I think to myself, and this is just me thinking out loud, if you could show me an online course that had intuitive design, like truly looked like my phone looked in a way, right? Because that's where I spend my time, it becomes a differentiator than another school down the road. I mean, is that where the mustard meets the, what was the thing where the mustard meets the sandwich? Whatever it is. See what I mean?
Absolutely. And we find this, that, I mean, first of all, as you would expect, I mean, we've got, over 100 years of Apple design and engineering and, leadership experience on the team, in addition to, some great leaders from other technology companies, because we believe very much what you've said, that, that people are really looking for, an experience that is designed in a way that doesn't look like a user interface from the 1980s on their computer, but are looking for that experience that they associate with all the other software that they now have on their phone. And we have our platform, while we are on, web and computer, it's a mobile first design. And that's not just, a native iOS, a native Android app, but it means that it's a UI that presumes a small screen, in the palm of your hand. And then, you can obviously take advantage of larger screen real estate if somebody's at a computer, but here's like an interesting thing. Over 50% of the users on our platform are in and out of the application 3 to 5 times a day, right? Compare that to the standard assumption of an LMS experience, which is like somebody's got 3 hours to go to the library and, open up their computer, and then they'll deal with all the frictions of kind of getting into the material. We've built this so you open the app, and then with like basically the click of a button, you're right into your course and engaging in it in a way that is with the other apps. And it is absolutely right. The students with the most complex lives who are balancing work demands, maybe additional care demands in their family with their schoolwork, that they want to be able to learn in 15 and sort of 30-minute increments and try to weave it into all the other things that they're doing. But if the experience of getting to that content is friction filled, eventually they just, say, enough's enough. I can't do this. So anyway, it absolutely matters. The design.
I like your style, dude.
One of the things I talk to people about all the time, and it happens and we see it, students talk about it, leaders have talked about it. When you go into an online course in university, I'm not saying all universities because that would be too generalized, but some universities happened to me before where I'd be in a class, I'm taking an online course, and I go to access the PDF that's supposed to have the information that I need to complete my assignment, and it's a 404. It doesn't exist. The address is gone. The materials in the course are bad. Now I can't do my assignment. Now what do I have to do? I have to map my organization. I have to blueprint it, right? Who do I call? The dean? Is the dean there? Do I call my advisor? Advisor's here. Do I call this person? And it's funny because I was doing a presentation literally this morning, and I was talking about how in higher education, we force students to map our organizations. Like we make them go find all these units, where if you go to a technology company like Apple or others, you don't call manufacturing or fulfillment, or you just call one number and somebody magically takes care of it for you, because that's what it means to have good customer service. But higher ed hasn't gotten there yet. And so my coming back around to the point where it's this experience of the user. And yet these students still stay in our courses, yet they still stay in our school, because there's this expectation that sometimes things are just wrong, or these links may not work, or this assignment's old, it's incorrect. How can something like Honor Education help solve for changes and updates and, making things more real and relevant?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, let me just sort of, I love what you said. Learning is one of the most important activities of human experience. And so for all of us who have been able to be involved in that, it's such a tremendous privilege. And yet there is a sadness that we have come to with respect to, a lot of the technological experience, this kind of view, well, good enough is good enough. And we want, people should expect more. We want people to expect more, than that. In answer to your question, there are obviously, well, maybe I shouldn't say obviously, there are so many, little ways in which, you can, design, the experience around the learning asset, so that all that the student has to do is to, open it up, and the course, and then, if it's there, it's for them, and if it's not there, it's not relevant to the course. But the most important thing that I think that we do is have such a tight analytic loop between the student's engagement with the materials and the instructor's awareness of how those students are engaging, that it is almost impossible for me to imagine a student in an honor course, having a link not working, or having an experience that they don't know how to make sense of, without there being immediate feedback to the instructor, something's gone wrong. And by the way, I think that's, kind of where this gets lost. It's like, it goes back to what you said. If my learning experience, I feel alone and disconnected from the others in the course, from my instructor, then I just assume either I have to figure this out for myself or nobody else is. But if you can put them into that community experience, then they already are more primed to think, if anything doesn't go as they expect, I should reach out. I should find out what's going on.
You made me think of something, and I'm going back to my very recent days overseeing online programs and retention, recruitment, so on. And so many online programs are built with discussion board participation being the measure. When am I going to count that the student started classes? Well, it's Monday, so all of our residential students went to a class, so we're going to take attendance probably, and we know that they moved into their dorm, so at least we know they're here on campus. Now, if I've got online students, I'm a fully online university, if my discussion board isn't due until Wednesday or Thursday, which happens very frequently for courses that are built online, because you got to give them time to read whatever you have and, introduce yourself in the Wednesday discussion. So now Monday is going by, Tuesday is going by, and I start going, how many people do I actually have in my online courses? I don't know until discussion boards happen. Then Wednesday passes, 20 students didn't do their discussion boards. I'm calling Thursday, I'm calling Friday. Well, Monday's my my cancellation date. It's the date that I'm going to probably start issuing refunds or whatever else of deposits if my students deposited, because I want to solidify my class. It's very disjointed. It's almost like you have to wait some time for these online students to get up and going. I need to know. I need to know if they're engaging with the material in a robust immediate, real-time way if I'm going to track whether these students are going to stick, right?
Hey everybody, it's Elvin Freitas, co-founder of the EdUp Experience. And hopefully you know by now that we have started our subscription-based model where we have original content, bonus content, get invites to special events. So right now it's $2.99 a month, and as of January 1st, 2025, it's going to go up to $19.99 a month. So go to edupexperience.com, edupexperience.com, look for subscribe now to lock in that lifetime EdUp Experience founders rate. $2.99 a month, edupexperience.com. Look for subscribe.
Mark your calendars now for February 12th through 14th, because this is where we welcome the era of the modern learner and the most anticipated higher education marketing and enrollment management conference of the year. We're headed to New Orleans for Insights EDU 2025. This year's event is packed with speakers from companies like Google, Meta, Reddit, and MIQ Digital, and schools across the country. Ready to learn how AI is transforming the marketing landscape and how to adapt your programs to the preferences and demands of the modern learner? Then Insights EDU 2025 is where you need to be. Register now at insightsedu.com.
Attention.
Registration is now open for the Middle States Commission on Higher Education 2024 Annual Conference, Protecting the Future, Champions for Higher Education, December 11th through 13, 2024 in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Don't miss out. Register today at msche.org/annual-conference. We'll see you there.
What you're pointing to, and this is so important, right, is that the difference between a learning community and community in general is what defines a learning community is that there are artifacts at the center of it. What makes a seminar such a powerful experience is we all bring the book and we open up to a page. And when we're making comments about what's in front of us. A discussion board is completely off to the side, right? Even if people are interacting, it's a really low fidelity, it's like people say, oh, I like that book, or I didn't like that book, or, I didn't think it was clear. They don't say, this equation doesn't make sense to me. I don't understand what that alpha stands for. Or, this paragraph, this line, I disagree with. They say, I don't really like what that author said, or it doesn't really resonate with me. And learning is like so many other, things. It's about the details. And discussion boards, they obviously had their moment in the technological level, but they don't lend themselves well to those details that really drive the learning forward. And that's why we have really tried to reimagine that experience of online asynchronous engagement, where you put the learning artifact, be it a book, be it an article, be it a podcast, at the center.
And I'm not a learning expert by any means, but it always seemed to me that the discussion board was there for attendance taking, not to facilitate real learning. And so I always question, why can't we do this a different way? So if there's a university out there right now that says, you know what, we need to design our online classes better. And I can't tell you how often this comes up. We need better designed online learning, because students, what's happening, which one of the most fascinating things that's happening now is residential students on residential campuses are taking the online courses offered at that university. And then your online student comes in from wherever, or comes in to try to register for that course, but it's filled up by your residential students who actually don't want to go to the course anymore. They just want to sit on the grassy knoll with their 4 friends and go to class and have both experiences. And it's disrupting this experience for the online learner. So if I could design a course and I want to design it with honor education at its core, what does this look like for me? Is it a year-long process, 6-month process? How does it look for me to stand something up with honor education?
So to focus on the course creation side of the platform, we built this with the goal of wanting to do for course creators what if you're old like me, you would say Photoshop. If you're younger, you might say Figma, kind of what it did for graphic designers, right? They've got all these digital assets they're working with. And, how do you enable them to, design to their intention? The one caveat, of course, is, instructors are not going to take a year and a half of classes in order to learn how to use a tool, right? And so, what the design team basically had as a brief was, think about some great creative tool like Photoshop. Think about that meeting, PowerPoint or Keynote. That's what we've done. It takes about 15, 30 minutes tops for an instructor to learn how to use the course creation tool and immediately start, kind of building or importing from, what they've already built. I mean,
Surprise. That's a good time period.
Yeah, no, I mean, this is one of my favorite things about the platform. It's why we talk about this whole notion of agile course creation. I mean, one of the delights of what, and I'm really privileged to have the team that I have. One of the real delights of what my team, is built is, when I hear instructors say, this actually makes building an online course fun. And that's, what because it gives them that control, the ability to kind of craft instead of feeling like they're constrained. And then when they get really excited is when they start seeing how the students react to the material and start to realize like, oh, I could enhance this just by, adding in an audio clip here based on how the students are reacting. That's where it really starts taking off. It's like, it like turns your class almost into a video game because you're seeing the reactions and then it's like, oh, I can enhance this, I can add to
but
that.
Isn't everything headed that way these days? Like gamification is becoming a foundation for everything we do. Even if you look at alternative pathways to education, badges, something I can share, some accomplishment. I want the paper, literally the paper trophy. I want a skill tree. I want a skill map for myself to show my employer all the things I learned in my courses that I can't get now. Everything's become gamified, isn't it?
I think that's true on the learning side. I think what people haven't thought enough about is for the instructors, how can I make this as fun and enjoyable for them, as it can be, right? I mean, while I wouldn't say we've really tried to gamify it for them, in the sense that, oh, you get 10 points for adding, an annotation here. I actually love the fact that you make that comparison because it should be like that experience though, right? Because when I teach in person, it has that positive reinforcement quality, right? When I see eyes light up, when I see people leaning in. So if we can bring the analytics to that digitally designed course experience, it creates that same emotional impact for the instructor that it should be fun. It should be enjoyable.
Maybe you've got to go back and tell your team, if you don't have it already, to create a badging system for the faculty who's using it.
Yeah.
Right?
I really like that idea.
Because
I really
then
like
it's
that
like
idea.
Made 100 annotations or, taught 50 courses. And it's like, when you get your, on your Apple, you have your health app and it tells you all the trophies that you won. It could be a new way to really experience teaching and learning.
Right. Close your teaching ring. Yeah.
Yeah. Not to give you more work, Joel, because I'm sure you got plenty, but it's these ideas that come from riffing. That's what I like to do. With the podcast,
I love that. I love that. Yeah.
Because I mean, there are faculty that I've talked to that are just going, I've taught the same courses for like 18 years. You have the same course, you put a new 20, 30, 40 people into it, you do the same things, you grade the same stuff. Now I've got to watch for AI, right? Now I'm freaking out. I don't know if I should embrace AI. Now I'm being forced to change all of my assignments because of AI, whether I embrace it or I don't. Now I'm in this mess right now. And I think something like Honor Education can help you simplify and enjoy teaching again if faculty are in that deep space right now of uncertainty.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, and by the way, just because, you mentioned AI, and I know it's on like a lot of people's minds. I mean, I think we've got a relatively unique take here, which is so many people are thinking about AI when they're either thinking about it as in terms of they're worried about it and it's disruptive, or if they're thinking about it in a positive way, they're thinking about like the role that it can play in like personalized consumption.
Yeah.
We I worry a lot about personalized consumption because when it becomes hyper personalized, it moves us away from that community based learning, which we just think is so core to, frankly, not just do you take in the knowledge, but, do you develop a sense of empathy, broader understanding, kind of with others in the world around you. But AI can also help with personalized expression on both sides, both the instructor by offering kind of suggestions and based on other comments that an instructor would make. You can start saying, well, what do you think about saying this to your students, right? Is this something that would be, kind of consistent with you in terms of how you would add to the material? And then on the student side, helping them overcome that sometimes fear of, putting a comment out into the void by saying, it's a great comment that you made. If you want it to be more persuasive for people who have a different view, here's maybe a way you can say it. And so to think about AI and supporting personalized expression as opposed to just consumption, I think reconciles AI with community-based learning in a way that I don't think enough have been thinking about.
Yeah, humanizing it. How do we use this to enhance our relationships with other humans is really the one of the important questions of artificial intelligence today, because you could easily use it to move away from humans entirely, right? Like that is the big question that's going to face us all. And, hopefully in an online course, AI can be used to help us facilitate our learning from others by prompting us, by, challenging our thoughts and having us ask those questions to our peers. I mean, there's just a lot of application for it, but I just don't think higher ed is ready. I mean, you let me ask you this. What barriers are you facing in talking with higher education institutions right now? Because I know, Joel, no matter if you tell me these conversations are easy as pie, which you probably won't tell me, there's a lot of room for improvement in higher ed, and also a lot of inertia, lack of resources, money. It's a funky time for the industry.
Yeah, and to just add to it, I think, people are still tired from, there's still a COVID hangover, right?
Yeah.
Like,
our COVID hangover was the FAFSA in higher ed. That was our COVID hangover.
Very good. It's so I think that's I mean without a doubt that's the case. I mean, look, we own the things that we can, which is we and we've talked about some of them, which is we can make this experience as easy and ideally as fun and motivating, potentially gamified as possible. Not just for the learners, but even for those who are creating. I think the when people think about their motivation, not just as learners, but as teachers, it ultimately does come down to, I think, that feeling of connection that you get as an instructor, with your students, or as an administrator with the many students that you're responsible for. And at least what we try to make clear for those who are like, do I really want to do this? It's like, is to tell them it is absolutely possible for you to have that same great experience as an instructor, as an administrator providing an online class, as for a group that you spent every day with. And and there are a lot who are looking for that. Again, maybe not. Maybe there's obviously a long tail that you're pointing to that may not, but we'll get to that tail eventually.
That's a fact. That's a fact.
And if we don't get to that long tail, the student will. Eventually, the demand of the consumer will trump all of our personal feelings about our courses, how they're designed, because the consumer wants, and the student in this case, whether you believe they're a consumer or not, they are the person who's experienced the product, is going to say, look at all these other products that I use. Why can't this be like that? And I think that is happening now. We're seeing it. I mean, there's companies out there, many of them that have done this, Apple included, Uber, car shows up for you randomly, and you don't even have to pull out your credit card. Frictionless, as you said, these frictionless experiences in higher ed is built on friction. We built it on friction. It's been built on friction for 200 years, and that's what is tough for us to kind of reimagine. What else do you want to say about honor education that hasn't been said, Joel? You get an open mic.
You've done a nice job of going through. I think the thing that I would go back to, and it just pulls off the line that you had, is because learning is really one of the most important activities of human existence. It's hard for me to think of any area of our lives that we wouldn't want to have higher expectations. We wouldn't want to have, to expect more. And we're just looking for others who believe that too, to partner with. And because certainly our best partners all believe in that. And that's what gets us up in the morning. So
I think it's one of these things. It's tough for us in higher education to go, could we just get through another year with these courses the way we have them? And the answer is, yeah, you probably could, but you're going to have less students in them eventually, because there are going to be others that step up and have better courses, and that course design becomes a value proposition. If you can increase your retention, if your persistence goes up, your net tuition revenue goes up. And if your net tuition revenue goes up, then you're not going to be in the dire straits that you might be now. It's all about the investment in the future. I always ask folks that I talk to, Joel, what do you think higher ed's going to look like 5 years from now? And it's those decisions that you need to make right now so that you can achieve that vision 5 years from now, because somebody else will if you don't do it. Somebody else is thinking 5 years ahead in going through redesign. And I really applaud for you for the work that you're doing, because I think it is the future of learning. Everybody's going online, and you just can't slog your way through it. You have to have true online by design, which is what you're offering in Honor Ed, right?
Yep, absolutely. That was very well said, Joe. Thank you.
Joel, this is your final question. This is your crystal ball that you have, that you took from Apple over to Honor. Tell us what you see for the future of higher education.
So based on all the institutions that we engage with, I mean, and I think this clearly will be no surprise to you, there's clearly this increasing shift towards, non-traditional, degrees will exist, but they are going to become a smaller and smaller fraction of people's learnings. And, so, you can go with cliched phrases like lifelong learners. But regardless of whether or not, kind of what the label is that you use, people are increasingly looking for ways to weave learning into their life that don't depend on having to basically take 2 years, 3 years, 4 years out of their life in order to pursue that learning. And I think if it is the institutions that think about how we help students solve that problem of how do they learn without having to, and in ways that can drive what their aspirations are for themselves, without literally having to pause all as other aspects of their life, it is those institutions that will be, that will be that future.
Heed those words, ladies and gents. This gentleman here has a global worldview from a massive organization on what the future of learning looks like, as he's taken his talents to honor education and started an amazing business to help our industry, which we should appreciate greatly when others come from outside higher ed or re-enter higher education to help us improve the lives of students. I mean, this is our core mission, to improve society through education. Joel, it's been an honor to talk with you, my friend, and really, I hope you had fun today too, as we got to kick it back and forth, as they say.
Joe, this has been a delight. Thank you again, and congratulations again on the 400,000.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for getting that number right too. 400,000. Ladies and gentlemen, here he is. He's Joel Podolny, founder, CEO at Honor Education. You just EdUp'd.
Hey everybody, it's Elvin Freitas, co-founder of the EdUp Experience. And hopefully you know by now that we have started our subscription-based model where we have original content, bonus content, get invites to special events. So right now it's $2.99 a month, and as of January 1st, 2025, it's going to go up to $19.99 a month. So go to edupexperience.com, edupexperience.com, look for subscribe now to lock in that lifetime EdUp Experience founders rate. $2.99 a month, edupexperience.com, look for subscribe.
Higher ed leaders, ready to level up your marketing and enrollment strategy? Join us at Insights EDU February 12th through 14th in New Orleans. The ultimate higher education marketing and enrollment management conference is here. Take advantage of early bird prices until December 12th. Register now at insightsedu.com. Welcome to the era of the modern learner.
Attention.
Registration is now open for the Middle States Commission on Higher Education 2024 Annual Conference, Protecting the Future, Champions for Higher Education. December 11th through 13th, 2024 in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Don't miss out. Register today at msche.org/annual-conference or head to msche.org and click on the conference link. I'll see you there.